How's it going, casters? Today I'm going to be doing a review on Generation Zero. This is a very Far Cry-esque game. It has co-op elements to it. It has a multiplayer. I think it's 4-player co-op. And I'm just going to go over gameplay. I'm going to go over some of the things I would recommend before buying this. It's it's a good game. I will say that right out the gate. I do enjoy it. It runs very smooth. It's fun to play. I am playing solo right now just because for the sake of doing a review. The game relies heavily on a stealth aspect, uh, depending on what difficulty you're playing on realistically though. If you're on the easiest difficulty, stealth still matters. Enemies are very aware to your presence. So you've got to really focus on, like, do I have the ammo, the healing items, and etc. to take this fight right now. There's, I want to say, it's got like the stealth of like an RPG, like Skyrim or Fallout, but way more refined. It doesn't have that level of like, if my stealth is too low, everything can just notice me no matter where I'm at, but it doesn't have that stealth where, like, if I'm skilled enough at it, I could literally just stand in front of the enemy and them not even know I'm there. Um, the stealth is very well refined, as you can tell right now. If I'm about to get into combat with this one, whew. Okay, so yeah, like, it'll go up the closer an enemy gets to you. So like, and if they're like looking at you, it's line of sight based. It's, if they're close to you, it's noise you make. There's very heavy noise emphasis on it too. You get items that you can throw that'll make noise. You can set down like radios, and you can shoot off flares and all sorts of stuff that will help you avoid detection. Let me get into this building here real quick so I don't get killed while I'm trying to talk. There are these safe houses. This is one of the aspects I kind of give it like a Far Cry vibe to. You can find these all across the world, which the world is huge. I would put it in the Ubisoft category of world size. Classic RPG map size, just ridiculous stuff to do everywhere, things to find everywhere, gear, lots of fighting. Um, there's definitely a variety in weapons and gear. Early on in the game, it's kind of slow. I did I did feel a bit of a slog for through like the first 5 levels of me leveling up. Um, there's not like linear levels; they're open world levels. So as you fight and do quests and stuff like that, you gain XP and you'll level up kind of like you do in Far Cry. Like, you get more XP based on how many enemies you fought in the combat, what you did in the combat. There's different quality of weapons, kind of like the RPG element going on there. And you can also get different types of ammo for your guns. So I think there's like two to more different types of ammo for weapons. I've found up to 3 for one, but there could be more, so that's why I don't want to put a cap on that. There might be rarer ammos. I noticed some of them are harder to find than others, so there's probably some like explosive rounds or something I've not found yet. But I'll go ahead and show you guys combat and stuff. It's a very refined game. Um, there's like critical points on enemies you can shoot at. For example, this guy right here, if you shoot this gas tank on his back and almost kill yourself in the process. Oh, that blew up the freaking tractor in the barn too. Okay, so you hit these critical points. Poor example here going on. You hit the critical points and it can potentially one-shot an enemy. And you can set off different things that will happen, like me just blowing up every explosive object in the 5-mile radius like I just did. I pulled a big dumb. But then you can just do regular combat with them, and yeah. Now, mind you, combat's not always this easy. I do have a somewhat well-modded weapon. I have full metal jacket ammo for it, which is really strong against these robots in particular. So I'm very set up for the situation, kind of thing. Um, the higher level you get, the bigger the robots that'll spawn in the world, the stronger enemies will get. So it kind of scales to you. Uh, yeah, so like there's these containers you can loot. There will be items you can find. These are like flares so you can throw. You'll find attachments for weapons. There's actually quite a few flares in here. But like I said, these flares you can throw them and they will distract the enemy. So if these are my binoculars. So I take this flare. I've got like 45 of them. I don't use them very often. I'm pretty good at stealthing past enemies. I don't really need to distract them, but I can just toss this and he'll start shooting. At least he should. He might be in a dumb mode right now. Yeah, I think he got stuck on the car. I might have messed things up a little bit in this area just because I just detonated everything in the radius and about killed myself. Cars you can open up, you can like search the trunks and stuff for equipment. And there's quests, but I've so far personally I've not run any NPCs. I'm still fairly early on in the story. I've been kind of just playing it and leveling up. I'm playing it like I would with Far Cry. I go out and I just hunt things and I just kind of explore the world first, and I'll go back and I'll do the story. But I like the freeness to just running around and collecting a bunch of stuff and then focusing on the story. There is one thing I would recommend to anyone looking into buying this. If you don't like lonely style RPGs or like slow. It's not like Far Cry in the sense that like there's always something going on all the time. Like just no matter where you run, there's always enemies. There's just craziness going on all the time. It's a slowed version of that. It it's definitely way more fun with friends. Enemies get stronger with the more people in the lobby. It kind of has like a Borderlands vibe in that sense. So like the more people that join your game, the stronger the enemies will get, and there's more enemies that'll pop up. More of the stronger ones will show up in the world. There's like giant boss fights. There's like world bosses and stuff you can fight. I I ended up killing the one that's in the zone I'm in right now. I don't think he shows up on the map after I've defeated him. No, he doesn't. But I think he does respawn. He's just not a marked target anymore for me to go hunt. But he was a really hard fight. I will say that much. When I went into the fight, I had somewhere around like 60 first aid kits, and now I have 6. And now I have 5 because I about killed myself showing off critical points on enemies. But would I recommend buying Generation Zero? I would say yes. If you can find someone to play it with you, or find a group of people to play it with you, or a group of people that are willing to play it with you, or you can join random games, take that route, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you have people to play with. But it's very situational if you want to play solo. You have to be kind of willing to take the slow route, especially if you play on high difficulties. It's not a, I would say, not a run and gun type of game where you can just go combat to combat. You'd have to actually scavenge for healing items and stuff like that, which helps in the long run having friends to play with because you can search an entire area a lot quicker. You can trade supplies amongst yourself, like, hey, I found healing items. Do you have ammo and something like that? But yeah, I would recommend Generation Zero. Situationally, like I said, um, but it's a refined game. I've not had any bugs or problems with it. It can get a little slow sometimes, and I think my last point of reference is I have not touched the DLCs for it. I'm usually not someone who buys DLCs unless they directly impact the main story until after I beat the main game. If the game holds me in long enough to beat the game, I will invest in DLC. And like uh, a good reference for story-based DLC would be like Mass Effect, where it's something that will happen and be affected by or will affect the main story in some sense or way. But from what I've guessed and kind of looked into on the DLCs for this, they do not. They add extra content to do afterwards. So if I beat the game and I finish it, yes, I would I would probably pick up the expansions. But again, Generation Zero 2020, would I recommend? Yes, situationally. If you have friends, definitely. If you have friends that are willing to pick it up with you, it's not an expensive game. It's not. I don't think it even released at $60. I think it was like one of those $40 or $50 releases. And solo, if you're okay with having a slow start game. It gets better the longer you play, the enemies get stronger, the gear gets better, so on and so forth. So this has been Generation 000 in 2020, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this and me about just blow myself up trying to show off a game. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, that's cool too. I do reviews all the time. I do VR, I do regular gameplay, I do streams, and we're just trying to get this channel off the ground. And whoever's there along the way, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.